Because of this very small diameter, we can't get a jam chuck that'll hold this well enough for us to cut away that edge, or even for that much sand it safely. But we can get enough of a mandrel here that we can possibly use it in decorating this with a felt tip pen. So while I've got this scrap on here, I'm going to go ahead and take it down to make a jam chuck. Again, going back to the beating and parting tool, I'm going to get just about to this edge right here, which is almost a little less than 3/4. And I'm going to taper it just slightly. We have some successive approximation as we do a trial fit. Now we can make it parallel again and taper it. And now we've got a nice fit to, we'll do that in a moment. We're going to take this off. Leave the mandrel in there so it will run true. Set that aside. And we're going to use this drill chuck. And I'm going to put in this 1/4 inch coupler right here. And then we'll just screw in our mandrel. And again, 80 grit. And we're just going to finish off the top edge of this right there and then round it a little bit. Didn't take long. And we'll probably still use these, but since they're foam backed, but we can control them a little easier by hand to get it round. You can see that. And I'll go through all the various grits, and then we'll come back and put it on that mandrel for the final Okay, we're going to do the gondola now. We're going to use a little tiny piece of wood about 3/4 inch square and about 2 inches long. And first thing we're going to do is round it off. Using the side of a 1/2 inch spindle gouge. Rounding it, getting it perfectly smooth by taking this little 3/4 inch skew and just kind of do a little planing cut here. Now let me show you what we're going to, a couple of ways we can mount that. First way, ideally if you had a set of chuck jaws would hold it, but let me show you another approach that'll work. That is, we take off the jaws and we just use the jaw slides themselves. So turn it to a perfect spindle that'll fit your particular chuck, and it'll hold it down to somewhere close to, in my case, about 5/16 of an inch. Now we're going to make sure we get it centered in there, since it's not using a shoulder. Let's just get it centered. I want to show you more than one way to do that, and here's the other way. Is just use a little glue block. In this case, we're going to use a threaded glue block. So we're just going to put on some accelerator there. We're going to take our little block of wood and put on some thick CA. Like so. And then I'm going to line, I've got these lines lined up to get it pretty much square. When they're all lined up, I'll know it's square. I'm going to let that set for just a moment. And there we're ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the same 5/8 of an inch. We're going to use the same 5/8 inch drill and a Jacob's chuck. And we're going to go, we're going to go to this part right here. That'll be just about right. So let's go ahead and do that. Slow it down a little bit. Not a whole lot holding it, so let's take it easy. Doing the drilling, going very slow. Let the drill do its work. Now we're going to measure this about 3/4 of an inch to the bottom. And I want to make sure that I've got plenty. Actually, I could have drilled a little bit deeper, but we're not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark that part and then tuck a little bead in there. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and mark where the part is. And what I like to do is put just a bit of a detail in here with a texturing tool. So to give that just a bit of a support, I'm going to go ahead and use a 60-degree cone, because I'm going to put some lateral pressure on it. This might be more than this could handle in those little set of jaws. Maybe. And that'll give just a bit more security. We're going to turn the lathe down to no more than about 400 with the tapered side up. Bring this up just a bit. Engage the wheel and just lift the handle until it starts cutting. And now we're going to come back in the other direction. And that'll give us a nice basket weave effect. Now using our beading tool, we're just going to turn just a bit of a bead. On both ends. And then to add a little additional detail, we're going to turn the speed up and use just a very, very fine burn wire just to add just a bit of detail. I probably should have sanded this before I started, but I'm just going to use a little brazen pad. Just kind of knock any frillies off there. Go ahead and take this out of the way. Now I'm going to thin this down just a bit. Get the walls a bit thinner. And I'll do that using this box scraper. And we'll just so we got a little bit thinner there. And now we'll just roll over this big large bead just a touch. Roll over the bead at the bottom just a touch. Go ahead and take some fine grit sandpaper, just kind of touch up the edges a little bit. Now we'll take our parting tool and part it off. And there's our little gondola. And we can cut that nib off with a knife and sand it down to give it a place to sign our name. Okay, now we're going to decorate this. We've turned this mandrel. It fits nicely. Not strong enough to finish off the bottom, but strong enough to hold it as we turn it with a felt pen. What I like to do at this point, now, anytime you have an ornament sticking out in this direction, I like to go ahead and, where possible, drill a hole for the screw eye. So just kind of mark the center there with a screw eye, with an awl, and now I'm going to take a pin vise and just go ahead and put that in. We'll deal with that later. Now I'm going to go ahead and decorate this with some of my favorite colors, orange and blue, War Damn Eagle. Slow the lathe down a little bit. We're going to slow it down to about 200. And first we're going to get the top using the side. And you get the picture. And we're going to use a little small gold screw eye. There we go. I'll let that dry a little bit before I touch it. I did one of these one time and I used some shellac or lacquer over top to seal it. Unfortunately, I didn't wait until this had dried and I got some runs, so this time I'm going to wait just a little bit longer. We'll let it dry, and then I'm going to use an artist's fixative, which just covers up, gives it sort of a matte surface, but it's used to separate one color from another, and I'll spray that on there. Very light coat. Now here's the challenge. This is the hardest part of the whole exercise, and that's gluing these 4 wires, and I'm using this decorative trim ribbon that I use to hang ornaments with. It's 1/16 inch. I've tried Aleene's tacky glue that gets kind of tacky fast. I didn't have any luck with that. I've used CA glue in the past and did not have real good luck with it, but I'm going to resort to it again since the Aleene's didn't work. So I think what I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to hit hit this with some accelerator. And I've got it in these little 3 stands of 3 nails. Then I'm going to use the glue and put a little bit on the end. I've gotten these little tiny plastic clamps. Let's see if that gives it a, that'll work. There's lots of ways you can decorate these besides felt tip pen. You can use a metallic wax like Rub and Buff, or you can use acrylic paints. You can use Zentangle, or like the one in the back, you can use metallic foil. So there's just lots of different ways to decorate them. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not a subscriber, why not? Go ahead and subscribe. And after you click the subscribe button, go down to your workshop and turn something. Keep it safe.